All right, everyone. So the Hardy Boys are going to have a title match in WWE. This is wild. From Wrestle Talk, after the match, NXT Tag Champions Nathan Frazier and Axiom confronted Matt and Jeff, where they tease a potential dream match against the Hardys. The confrontation was interrupted by TNA's Director of Authority, Santino Marella, who announced that the Fraxium will face off against the Hardy Boys in 2 weeks at Roadblock in the theater in Madison Square Garden. That's gonna be phenomenal, and look, clearly, this is setting up for something bigger. I don't think this is the I don't think this is the only thing the Hardy Boys will be doing in WWE. I cannot wait until we get the full plan, but this is a perfect way to start, and I love what WWE is doing with NXT. They're using this as a place to kinda get some of these veterans or these big names kinda back into the WWE universe. So you do that because now everybody's talking about them, and then you could throw them onto the main show. You don't just bring them onto the main show and be like, "All right, we're gonna take," because that takes time from, your normal feuds that you're trying to do. This way here, you can give people what they want where the Hardy Boys return, and then after that, you could bring them onto the main show and start a feud that way. So I think this is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So we're reading an update here from Wrestling News. Bianca Belair and Naomi lost the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez in the main event of Monday's WWE Raw. This snapped Belair's long run with the titles, although she faced some challenges as part of her tag run. Belair had initially won the titles with Jade Cargill at Bash and Berlin, and Naomi stepped in as her partner in November after Cargill was attacked. Cargill is expected to return to TV soon. PWInsider.com reports that the title change had been long planned. It was noted last month that Morgan and Raquel were slated for a big push as a tag team, and this will be the start of their next chapter leading into WrestleMania 41. They were told that WWE management was really happy with the live reactions during the match and felt that as a main event for Raw, it more than delivered. That's true. I think fans are really into it. Fans liked it, and I think this is a very, very good title for the Judgment Day to hold. Look, we can't have the Judgment Day just continue to lose everything. I understand why Liv Morgan isn't currently champion and in the main event scene, but she should be in this team scene, and I think her and Raquel are a fantastic tag team. They have a very good chemistry. The fans they hate Dom Mysterio, they hate the Judgment Day, but they're still excited to see this tag team of Raquel and Liv to go out there and fight. And we know now with Bianca and Naomi that there's going to be some more stuff going on. There's a reason that they're both in the Elimination Chamber. Jade Cargill returns, so it's not like they're going to be lost now, trying to find out what to do next. And you could still have, after you settle everything, you could still have this feud again, right? With whoever is still a member of the tag team. If Naomi and Bianca are still a tag team, if it's Bianca and Jade, whoever it's going to be again, you could still do that after you tell the story of Jade's return because they have enough stuff, right? If it ends up that Raquel and Liv actually attack Jade, well, she could want a chance at her title again. But I have a feeling that it's going to be something else so that they could have either Bianca versus Jade or Naomi versus Jade or Bianca versus Naomi, whatever it is. I feel like that's what's coming next. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So we're reading from eWrestlingNews.com. The Hardy Boys are making their highly anticipated return to WWE, starting with an appearance on tonight's episode of WWE NXT. Obviously, that already happened. To capitalize on their return, WWE has released new merchandise for the duo, although their current run with WWE is limited to NXT. WrestleVotes is reporting that there are rumors of a potential main event roster storyline later this year. Meanwhile, the Hardys are also holding the TNA World Tag Team Championships and will appear on TNA Impact this week. So there's a potential here for main storyline for the Hardy Boys, and they should be. Okay, I love what they're doing with NXT. I think they should continue to do it. It helps out the young guys, it helps out these veterans, and I think it's a good way to get these older legends back into the company without just throwing them into main storylines right away. With that being said, the Hardy Boys are not NXT guys. They're not you don't bring back the Hardy Boys and just throw them onto NXT. You got to get them on the main roster at some point. And the tag team division, I think, is lacking a little bit, to be honest. I think there's a lot of good tag teams, but WWE just hasn't been able to put it necessarily all the way together. I think the Judgment Day has been great. I think the War Raiders, as of recent, have gotten a lot better. DIY is really cool. So there are cool tag teams. They just haven't been able to kind of get those feuds that really get us going. Like I loved DIY's heel turn with the Motor City Machine Guns, but it just didn't. I don't know. That match just didn't fit right. It was weird because I actually thought it was, like I said, I thought the DIY heel turn was fantastic. I thought they actually built a pretty good story. That match just didn't connect the way I think people wanted it to. So the Hardy Boys can be a big boost to that tag team division because tag team is awesome. The tag team division is really important, and it's one of those things that it feels like the company either has a really great tag team division or the tag team division just isn't good. There's never seems to be like this kind of medium. But when the tag team division is rocking, it's one of the best. And the Hardy Boys are one of my favorite tag teams of all time. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So this is from the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast. Matt Hardy had this to say: "I love it. I love it. I'm a big fan of Road Dogg. I dig his thinking. He's a great guy, and I love the fact that in 2025, DX is like running WWE. It's amazing. I love Road Dogg's process. I love the way his thought process goes, especially for storytelling. It's very simple but great. I dig it. He's very much a sports entertainment kind." So this is interesting because obviously when he got the job again, there were people that were complaining about it. They were talking about when he had this job prior, but then we saw the reports saying, I think a lot of people thought it was Vince that was the one who had his hands in that creative and wasn't letting Road Dogg kind of have the show the way he wanted it. So it seems like that narrative has kind of shifted now where everybody's kind of supporting Road Dogg in this situation. And I think that's good news. I really do think that's good news because, I always say we try to give you both sides of all these different stories because we don't want to just have something negative about someone because that's the dominant narrative. We also don't want to just go along with a positive narrative that shouldn't be that case. So this is something that we're trying to cover every aspect, and we'll see how the storytelling goes. The proof will be in the pudding, as they say, right? When we see how well he does. But the fact that you have someone like Matt Hardy coming out of his way to say that, the fact that we just saw on the new, I forgot what the name of the show is now, but this new show on A&E where they have Undertaker and Bubba Ray and all these people that are helping, up and coming stars who want to be in the WWE. Road Dogg was on one of the like commercials for it, and he was talking, and one of the people there just talked about how much they loved. Everyone was all of the young wrestlers were like, "Oh my god, it's Road Dogg," and when he gave a little promo and was talking, everybody loved it. So it shows that he has a little bit of a this wasn't just something he was doing on TV. He is someone who I think can control a level of respect in the locker room, who understands what the audience wants to see, and will be able to communicate to wrestlers what he wants them to do. So I think all signs are pointing to Road Dogg being pretty good at this. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So JBL talked about the chances that The Rock wrestles at WrestleMania. Here's what he said: "I think there's a chance. Yeah, because I think The Rock loves wrestling. I think deep down, The Rock really enjoys wrestling, and he's always loved the business, grew up in the business. It's always been a part of his blood, and he's really good at it, by the way. I'd love to see him wrestle. I don't know if he will or not. You never know what's a swerve and what isn't. When he said Cody and he don't have to culminate in a match, I thought it was a great thing that he said. Now, whether that is true or not is different, whether he's working or whatever else, good grief. I hope he's working us because I enjoy being worked. I enjoy swerves coming, and I enjoy having the fun of being surprised. I'd love to see The Rock in a match. I'd love to see Rock versus Roman. I think that's one of the most interesting things that's out there." So I've been saying, and by the way, I'm a big fan of that Cody segment, but I hope Rock is not wrestling at this year's WrestleMania. My hope is that what they're doing is knowing, all right, we don't really have the time to build a match at WrestleMania for The Rock because you need some time to do that, but we can still have him a part of it as they did with Cody. And I'm fine with the Cody heel turn. I'm fine with a bunch of things. But what I really want to see is them begin to set up Rock and Roman for next year. Because I just think if you're going to have The Rock at WrestleMania, you got to build something a little bit bigger than this. Even last year, they attached Rock onto an already built match, and he did a fantastic job of telling the story, but it wasn't like there was no feud and then they attached Rock to it. This time around, I just don't want to see The Rock in a half-baked feud. Like, you know what I mean? I just want them to really build something. And I would love if he was kind of in that Vince McMahon way, you know, in Cody's ear, right? Trying to get him to do something kind of dirty, or if Cody does heel turn and now he's the one controlling. Like, that's the way I want to see Rock at WrestleMania. And then for next year, I would love to see The Rock versus Roman and give it some time to build. But I don't want to see them just put something together quick just to get The Rock wrestling on the show, because it's just, the fans, they love seeing The Rock and they would love to see him wrestle, but they want well built stories. There are so many great stories they could tell You really don't have to throw The Rock on there. I do want to see The Rock at WrestleMania, though, in some form. So, how they make that happen, we will see. Thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So we're reading here from eWrestlingNews.com. There are rumors circulating that Vince McMahon might be gearing up for a return to the professional wrestling business, possibly rehiring former WWE executives and reaching out to experienced wrestling cameramen. This was discussed on 83 Weeks podcast by Eric Bischoff and Conrad Thompson, with both speculating that Fox could be involved in a new wrestling venture. However, Andrew Marchand from The Athletic is reporting that Fox is not partnering with McMahon in any such project, with a network spokesperson confirming that these rumors are false. He wrote, "There's a report that Vince McMahon might start a wrestling company with Fox as a partner. If McMahon is planning that or not, I don't know, but the Fox part is not true, according to a network spokesman." So the question is, would this be something they would confirm? I don't know, right? If it's like really in the beginning stages, maybe they would deny it and then it ends up being a thing, because there still is this legal cloud over Vince, and maybe they would have to wait until that's gone for all of this to start. I just don't know if Vince is going to be back in the wrestling business as it pertains to competing with WWE, because I understand people talk about, and I've never met him, I don't know him, but his kind of like, this is his life. I get that aspect of it, but it just feels like Vince would understand that the idea of him starting his own network, or not his own network, his own wrestling company again, right? Restarting this all over again and with Fox as a partner, it just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get the right pieces in there to make it work. Now, we talked about it in the last thing, the last video we did on this, where if the wrestling is one of those businesses, it's not necessarily like, kind of like the NFL, right? Where you had the XFL, all the best players were in the NFL. Wrestling, there always is this like crop of talent that is just as good as people in WWE that maybe WWE didn't give a push to, they didn't have time for, whatever it is that you could bring on if they would want to work for you. So there is kind of that difference where you actually can compete with the likes of WWE in some aspects, because there is always going to be free agents in wrestling that are willing to go, wrestle elsewhere. Whereas that doesn't really happen in a lot of the other major sports. You like the MLB, the best players in the MLB, NBA, best players in the NBA, go down all the lists, right? That's just how it works. Wrestling's a little bit different. Now, obviously, WWE is going to have a major advantage on every way. They're going to have the best talent. They're going to have the most money. They're going to have everything the most. But if you really wanted to, there is that thing going for him. I just don't know how he would get the type of wrestlers he's going to need. I just think by going there, I think wrestlers would feel like, okay, if I go work for him, then people are gonna that's gonna be a lot of negative press coverage for me, and then that's gonna hurt my ability to ever get back anywhere else. So I just don't know if he would really try that. I think it would be much more likely that he attempted, in which I probably isn't possible at this point, but I think it would be much more likely for him to try to get his way back into WWE than for him to actually start his own thing. Again, because once again, I just don't know how that exactly would work. At his age, it just feels like something that's probably not going to happen. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. All right, everyone. So it looks like some people might be unhappy with how things are changing with The Rock returning and all of that. This is from eWrestlingNews.com. On today's edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed how The Rock's recent involvement in WWE, particularly inserting himself into Cody Rhodes' storyline, has boosted ticket sales for WWE Elimination Chamber in Toronto. During last week's episode of WWE SmackDown, The Rock told Cody Rhodes that he'd seen him at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view event to hear his decision about becoming The Rock's champion. Additionally, The Rock mentioned wanting Cody Rhodes' soul. Meltzer stated, "They've moved like 2,500 tickets since Friday for the Chamber show. That's pretty good. So there'll probably be over 30,000 by the time the show's there. Maybe more, probably more. Business-wise, it's going to be a difference maker." However, it was noted that The Rock's TV return has made some people unhappy internally within WWE for completely changing the game plan. He said, "I don't think that the angle's any kind of a positive. I know that there's definitely people not happy with the way they had a game plan, and the game plan completely changed this last week, but it's probably only changing for a couple people. I guess we'll find out Saturday if they change from Cody and John Cena, and I don't know where The Rock, fits in." WrestleTix has confirmed that the ticket sales for WWE Elimination Chamber in Toronto have increased by 2,292 tickets in the past week, bringing the total to 29,836 out of an available 32,119 seats, with 2,283 tickets remaining unsold. The event is set for Saturday, March 1st at the Rogers Centre in Toronto, Ontario. So we're going to talk a little bit about this now. The people upset with The Rock. Now, we've been very clear. Number one, I want to talk about this is that usually when you hear Meltzer saying this, you don't always know to what extent. That's always a big question in my mind. Meaning, are some people upset? Maybe, but is there this massive amount of wrestlers behind the scenes that are upset? I don't know if that's true. Just want to make sure that's out before we continue to talk about the story, that we don't actually know how big of people being upset that is. Number two, we've talked about how on the side here of some of these people in the sense that I don't want to see The Rock come in out of nowhere and then just kind of change the direction of these big storylines. So Cena and Cody, I think that seems like the plan. I want that to still be the plan. I don't think Rock Cody is a better match. I just don't, especially on Cena's farewell tour. With that being said, that's the only thing, in my opinion, that is worthy of being upset about here. Even these wrestlers, let's say there was Raw and you were supposed to have a segment, and because Rock's there, now you don't have it. Even if you're that wrestler, you should not be upset with this. Think about what The Rock's effect on this was, right? Him saying he's going to be at Elimination Chamber draws more people to watch. More tickets are being sold. And now it's only going to make the product bigger. So as long as this doesn't change everything, right? As long as this isn't going to be a case where at WrestleMania now Rock is he's heavily involved in this feud and John Cena's out of the feud because of this, that would make me upset because I don't think this is actually a better match. But everything we have pointing to right now, which is maybe Cody has a slight heel turn, The Rock continues to try to turn Cody. He kind of keeps, Cody's character in flux. Nobody really knows what's going on. All of that seems like a win-win in my opinion. And so we'll see, right? To me, this is a to be determined. If it ends up that he's now fighting Cody Rhodes and it was supposed to be Cena, that's a little bit upsetting because Cena's farewell tour, this would be a perfect moment for him to break that record or at least have such a big match with Cody. And to have The Rock do that, it just doesn't feel right. So we'll see what happens. Thank you all for watching.